Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. We got a great episode planned for you today. Today, Michael and I are going to be looking back on the Who's Number One Championship, looking at all the different types of matches that happen, all the upsets that happen, and a lot of other different takes throughout the entire jiu-jitsu scene. It was a great weekend for jiu-jitsu, especially on a professional level. But before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and our podcast streams. If you like all the latest breakdowns, guest episodes, and newest clips, make sure you subscribe and like, and make sure you share that stuff.
Autumn is in the air, the pumpkins are in the patch, and our friends at Manscaped are here to make sure you don't carve your pumpkins when you're grooming, if you know what I'm saying. Make sure you keep your things fresh this fall with the leaders in men's grooming and use the brand new 4th generation performance package. Boys, get ready for cuffing season like none other. Are you ready to take the leap with Manscaped? Join 2 million men worldwide that are using Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code CHPodcast. Their 4th generation trimmer features cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin tape technology. It also gives you the ability to turn on that light, a 4000K LED spotlight, on and off when you need a more precise shave, plus it's waterproof. So meaning, when you can even shave in the dark and you don't have to worry about trimming your nutsack off. Seal the deal with Manscaped's liquid formulation, the crop preserver for ball deodorant. And everyone knows that pumpkin spice lattes and ball deodorant go hand in hand. So remember, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code CHPodcast at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Make your balls a priority this fall. Choose Manscaped and your balls are going to thank you. We're also sponsored by SpiritLeaf Waterdown, located at 64 Hamilton Street North in Waterdown, Ontario. If you're looking for Canada's top cannabis brand, look no further than Alex and his crew at SpiritLeaf Waterdown. They're going to be able to help you out with all the CBD and THC products that you need. Just remember to like our Instagram and their Instagram, and they're going to give you a discount when you go in store and go shop with them. You can't go wrong, and you're always going to have a great experience at SpiritLeaf Waterdown. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the show. Have a great listen to the podcast, and we'll see you soon on the mats.
Podcast. I know you're falling favorite. We're gonna get sponsored by Facebook. I mean Skynet. I mean Facebook.
But that's how it is. All right. Hey, and everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Here we are joined by just Michael and myself. Today we're off for a really great show. We had an amazing weekend as far as jiu-jitsu goes, probably one of the biggest tournaments that Who's Number One has ever done, with 5 different divisions, a whole tournament style actual match, and it took over a place of 2 days. It was fantastic. Mike, first thoughts when you look at this Who's Number One tournament, when we had the heavyweight division, we had a 185 and we had a 155 division for the men. And then for the women's division, we had a heavyweight division and a 115 division. There were so many different competitors. We had so many different matches happening. There's over 40 matches throughout the entire day. And that didn't even include a lot of the consolation type matches that were happening. When you look at all this type of event, before we get into some of the matches, what would you think, like how big of an event that was, and like how big this is going to kind of push the sport forward?
I think it's going to push it to the next level. I think Flograppling and Who's Number One did a tremendous job with setting up this tournament. There was 5 major brackets with big cash prizes online for jiu-jitsu standards, like grand prize of $30,000 for first place. Top three are taking away some money, $1,000 for every submission. So these are things that you want to see if you want to see jiu-jitsu get to the next level. Is you need to start seeing people being able to start to make a living just from competing and winning tournaments. I mean, there's other streams of income, of course, that we've talked about, like DVDs, things like that. But I think now with ADCC coming next year, and they'll be paying out some money. And I think events like this, it's only onward and upward from here, where you'll start to see more money coming into the sport. So Aaron, what were your thoughts on the event, and what were some things that were highlights to you? And money wise, what do you want to see going forward with events like this, Who's Number One?
Well, I think, like you said, it was just really helped push the sport forward as far as a professional level goes. And then also having this tournament style, which was pretty crazy, because you never really know what you're going to get with the tournament style, because you're going to have upsets happen, which we did have a lot of it, which I really want to talk about today more than anything. But you're going to have those upsets. You're going to have some really good competitive matches. And when money's on the line, especially for the submissions, you're going to have individuals really push the pace to find those subs, try and get those extra dollars and cents into their pocketbook. So they were saying that they paid out almost $25,000 in additional submission bonuses. So they had the original purses, $25,000 in an additional submission bonuses. That was just pretty amazing to see that many submissions were happening throughout the entire night. And I think it's going to push the sport forward. But like you said, like that's the type of atmosphere you got to create for these athletes, that they want more competition. They want that money. Like that's what they're looking for. And if you're able to provide those types of platforms for them to succeed on, that's what's going to push the sport forward. I mean, like Gordon Ryan had a couple of different aspects of like, okay, here's how we're going to make the sport go forward, and these guys got to get better at jiu-jitsu, and he's got his own opinion on certain things. But when you break it down to the bare bones, when we've been doing all these podcasts, and what's the main thing we've been hearing from all our competitors that we've spoken to, it's all about cash. It's all about the cheddar. It's all about getting cash prizes.
It's all about the cheddar. It's all about the Benjamins, Aaron.
It's all about paying the competitors a fair wage, right? So, I mean, not every platform can do that because they might not have the funds for it. But I think that's kind of like where the sport's going, especially on a professional end in the jiu-jitsu scene.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a big thing. It's getting more eyeballs on the sport. So I think Who's Number One and Flograppling are doing an excellent job of that. And I think it's getting sponsored. It's like sponsorships as well. So people are paying out, big money sponsors that are going to pay to advertise on their platform. And I think they're doing a good job of both of those things. And they're able to, convert the subscriptions that they're getting, and then they're having some advertising streams of income, and now they're able to give some money to competitors to compete, which before like a big payout was like if you saw a tournament that paid out like $10,000, that was a big deal, or even like $5,000, that was a big deal. Now you're getting into tournaments that like, well, you have ADCC, that's every 2 years, but like now you're getting into tournaments that are paying like $50,000 a division. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a matter of time before you start seeing more and more of the Benjamins, as Aaron's putting it, flowing into sport jiu-jitsu, and you'll see plenty more opportunities for people to make some money. Aaron, what were some things that stood out to you, like highlights for you, upsets? What do you want to kick off first? What were some things that stood out to you?
Well, I think that's where it's a really good spot where we should start off, especially for in that tournament style. You're going to get a lot of upsets. You're going to get a lot of different matches that might not have happened. And then you're going to have different mindsets of all these different competitors that are coming into it. And maybe they thought they could walk through certain parts of the division and not take it seriously. I don't know if those were the game plans that these individuals had, but that's what we got. We got a whole bunch of different upsets, a lot of number one seeds knocked out in the first round. And also we had the biggest upset of the night, which is the heel hook that was not supposed to happen, which was the Tim Spriggs taking the victory in the heavyweight division. Nobody thought that he was going to beat the number one pound for pound. Well, not the number one current grappler right now, being Kayan Durate, and actually submitting him with a outside heel hook, which was actually fantastic.
Beautiful setup, and I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. I think the one thing I found is I think Kayan he may have some weaknesses to heel hooks, because he's been caught by Lachlan at ADCC, he's been caught by Cyborg. I think maybe Tim Spriggs, there may have been, as he was saying, he may not be a bit of training as much, but he could have been, doing some studying of areas of opportunity, as Aaron likes to say, back at the place that we do not speak of. There's areas of opportunity to where to attack. And I think he had a very good game plan, and he was able to, get into it, get in on a quick entry, got a quick fight, and he finished it. He fought very strategically throughout as well. He had a very close strategical match with Tex Johnson. He had a great first round opening match as well. Another big upset I found was Roberto Jimenez getting heel hooked very quickly by the Hillbilly Hammer. Shout out to that man, and from Daisy Fresh. And I don't know, there's a shot on Instagram of like pausing in slow motion. Like, Roberto's okay. Hopefully his
ACL is not okay.
His ACL is not okay. So there was definitely, he got caught pretty good, stood up out of a heel hook, and there's I would say probably some significant damage done, but hopefully, he bounces back very quickly. Aaron, go ahead.
He got caught in that heel hook, and just the way the Hillbilly just kind of turned right into it. And I was like, oh, he's not moving. And it's that he just locked that leg right out. And if you actually see the picture of where his knee cap starts to move and actually where the heel is and where the tibia and the fibia are rotating, you're like, nasty. No, this is not a good spot. And that knee is not happy for sure. So definitely don't want to be in Roberto's shoes. I hope he recovers. Definitely not cool. Especially when I looked at some of the other upsets that were happening. We looked at, there was a big controversy right at the beginning before, even at the weigh-ins, which was Amanda Levy versus Gabi Garcia. And it was Gabby.
What weigh-ins? I don't weigh in. I ate the pussy.
Yeah. She didn't want to do the weigh-in.
Or as you discovered, the Filipino term is peck, but go on.
Yeah, but we're not going to get into that one. But she wasn't going to weigh in because of her contract and whatever. That was that whole controversy. And you wonder if that's kind of like, as they were saying at the announcers tables, where was she trying to get into Gabby's head or whatever, right? And I think what happened was Gabby didn't take that match seriously, because the way that she even looked right at the beginning, she did look interested. I think she thought she was going to put her pressure onto her the entire time, and it didn't really go her way, because didn't really go her way. I thought it was a very odd match, honestly. Gabby pulled guard, and then Amanda just really went right under for the double pass and just passed right into her and took her back right, and had a sunk in rear naked choke right at the beginning of the match. And the only way that Gabby her face was turning colors. If she didn't get that two-handed grip on there, she was going to sleep.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a combination of maybe she's not training as much or taking it seriously. She's waiting for that Craig Jones money. That's what it is. She wants that Craig Jones money, that big old 30, that OnlyFans money. Oh man, I think Aaron just shuddered from the thought of Gabi Garcia on OnlyFans. I think Aaron will be the first subscriber to that one, but
no.
I digress. But I think it was a combination of a few things. She could have also gone in injured as well.
Oh yeah, she might be injured too, right?
She may have had an injury that we didn't know about. I don't think I've ever seen Gabi Garcia pull guard ever. So I thought that was a very odd strategy, especially against somebody who Amanda, who's a top game player, more MMA base, jiu-jitsu, is gonna probably take down, take the back, scramble, things like that. Which I was very surprised with that she pulled guard. Maybe she's not studying these girls as much now. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a combination of the three things. I don't know. I just thought it was very puzzling when I started to see her pull guard multiple times. I'm especially as somebody who's the bigger athlete going in. Typically the strategy is you want to use your size and strength either to wrestle, do play, or play on top after. So I thought that was very puzzling of that, but shout out to Amanda. She did an awesome job, and she notched a very, very big win.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think one we have to look at was the Mikey versus Souza fight. which
Gabriel Sousa,
which turned into another upset. Everybody was kind of looking at Mikey as the number 1 seed going into that matchup, and he got pulled a really good card, and you know, and it was, and it looked like a very good competitive match at the time, where Mikey was being engaged. He was setting up his leg entanglements. He was being really sticky and working, trying to get different positioning. But then once he got his guard passed, and when Sousa trying to figured out how to pass that guard and get top position, Mikey was never really able to get back to where he needed to be. And at that point, it was just too late, and he was over.
Yeah. I think he just got caught. Also, you have to keep in mind, like, he's giving up, even at like 155, he's giving up.
He's giving up size. I get it.
He's definitely giving up some significant size there. Also, I think a lot of people are overlooking how good Gabriel Sousa is, considering, you know, he just won cans. So like he's been game, and he's been game a long time. He's a name that's really, I think, flown under the radar, and like he's been competing and winning and beating a lot of top tier guys for a while, and like he's not really he's from his own team, like ZR teams, not a big, like, it's not like an Alliance or an Autos where it's like or Gracie Baja, or that's like a big like household name when it comes to, like, you know, competitive jiu-jitsu. Like he's from a smaller team that maybe doesn't get the recognition that maybe it deserves, but like, you know, he's been very game for a long time. Like he's just recently won some big tournaments. I think a lot of people were not giving him the credit that he deserved going into this.
No, I would agree with you on that one. And I think that's put respect to the name, right? And it's like,
it's a respect on my name.
That's it, man. Like a lot of these guys that are coming out of the woodworks, and not necessarily out of the woodwork, sorry, but they're beating top level competitors, especially in these tournament style matches. You're going to get these things, right? And you're going to get these upsets happen, and you're going to have these matches that weren't expected to go on, and now they got a different game plan, different fights. Because like in any tournament, you're always going to look at the bracket. Okay, if I beat this guy, this is the next guy I'm going to have to fight. And I think a lot of people were looking forward to seeing Mikey versus Ty, and that never happened.
Or Cade, you mean? Yeah.
Was Cade at that other end of the bracket?
Cade's fighting at 155. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
It's good to see, you know, the difference between the two brothers. Afro, smaller guy. Ty, more jacked. Just saying.
Sorry.
Fucked up a long time ago.
Yeah. Whatever.
But no, you know, Gabriel Sousa has been a name for a while. I think, you know, Mikey, I think is, you know, I think it just shows like every bracket. Like I laid out like who you think's going to win, and looking at like how the 8 lined up, and there's a lot of upsets as we're talking about, but there's a lot of unpredictability. I think especially at that level in like a tournament that happens over the weekend, it's like a lot of crazy things have happened. Like for example, like, you know, Cade in his semifinal, like in his quarterfinal opener match, he got a Darce pretty quick, and then he was fighting Josh Generos, who ended up having like a knee injury very early on. So there's a lot of things, and there's a lot of unpredictability, especially at this level. Like if, you know, somebody gets injured, like for example, like Mason Fowler looked like a Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid after.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of crazy things that can happen. There's like injuries that can happen that can basically change a whole bracket, or if there's like a big upset, which seemed to happen in almost every single bracket, there was some sort of upset, I think, at some point. Mm-hmm. Where it didn't go quote unquote according to plan. There were some other big upsets in there. There's Roberto Jimenez we touched on.
Mm-hmm. What was the other one?
Talked about Tim Spriggs getting heel hooked.
Yeah. We also had Ty versus Deonte. That happened. That
was I don't consider it an upset. That was just domination.
It was just pure domination. Like, he got guillotined 10 seconds left in the match. I'm not sure if it was just because he didn't care at that point, and he knew he was going to lose his decision anyways.
Yeah.
What other matches? There was there was a lot of really good female matches. I'll be honest with you. They had a lot of really good female matches, especially in the 115 division as well.
Yeah.
They had a really good technical matches in that division. And I think like it was really cool to see, especially like a day of jiu-jitsu tournaments that were really on high level standpoint. I thought like literally you could sit all day and watch these great events going on when all these different competitors, and you could at one point of the day you always had one match going on, which was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. I think some of the submissions of the tournament, I would say, so speaking of females, is Jessica Kahn versus Grace Gundrum. Grace pulling out a twister from
Twister. Yeah.
Shout out to Eddie Bravo and Flat Earth 10 Planet, pulling off probably the submission of the tournament. And I actually saw that setup slowly creep in. I was like, oh, she's got the truck. Oh, yeah. She's got no, she's not gonna. Oh, she's going for it. She's got it.
Yeah, no, that was a really good technical match at the beginning. And I think it was the two of them just trying to set something up. And then it was once they were able to figure out where she wanted to go, or you could see it creeping in bit by bit.
What were some highlights submission wise for you? What were some cool setups? Ty and Cade both had some crazy dart setups. They're finishing people left, right, center with those. You know, Cade speaking of Gabriel Sousa, finished the finals with a nice Dars on Gabriel Sousa as well.
Yeah, I mean, like my favorite submission of the night was the Tim Spriggs versus Kayan heel hook, just because that was not the one anybody expected to see. I think everybody was expecting Kayan to just kind of dominate that match. And especially when you look at a guy like Tim Spriggs, who's training 3 days a week, has a full-time job, not necessarily a fully active competitor anymore, and being able to pull off that outside heel hook with a great setup and being able to step over from where he was, I thought it was a great sub and a great setup.
It's absolutely awesome. What do you think of one of my other favorite subs by disqualification? Tex Johnson getting jackknife power bombed into the mats by Orlando Sanchez, who showed up and forgot that it was an 80cc.
I want to know, does this guy read the rules at all? Because how do you not know that you're not allowed to do that? I think 80cc you're allowed to do that, right?
You're allowed to slam out of submissions.
Yeah, you're allowed to slam out of it. So, but you think a guy like Orlando Sanchez, who's been in the game a long time, obviously has multiple 80cc's under his belt, multiple different types of shows. I think this is his first Who's Number One tournament that he's been on, but come on, man, read the rule books. No,
go to the rules meeting.
Just pay attention on you're a high level competitor, right? I don't know, man. It's just this guy has issues with everybody. Even the last big controversy he had was with Sean Strickland training at the club, where he kind of they were doing hand pummeling, and then he pummeled his hand into a wrist lock.
That might have been different, though. I think Sean Strickland talking a little shit.
I think both of them were talking shit, but
probably.
It's just controversy everywhere it goes.
That's what I mean. The truth is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's just I just said a lot. I'm trying my best not to say as much as I have. So
as much
I've
as
been doing really well.
Let me ask you a question, Aaron. Let me ask you, or what do I say all the time? If that'll make you feel better. Let me ask you a question.
I've been meaning to ask you. I've been meaning to ask you this one question. Just you've asked that 3 times already. How could it be this is the only one you wanted to ask? You've said it's the same thing 3 times already, Mike.
Well, maybe because if you just shut up once in a while, maybe I can ask my fucking questions.
No, you know what? I ask questions that I think will be relevant towards what we're talking about. I try my best to keep them relative, and then put a little spin of comedy in there if I need to. They're kind of lighten things up.
I thought it was the comedy side of things. And then
you are edited
out half of our shit.
You are not the comedic inner voice of this entire podcast. I think neither one of us are, but we try to.
If you think you're the comedic end, I was gonna say you're I don't know, you're more delusional than I don't know.
I didn't say I was. But anyways, Orlando Sanchez does not pay attention in rules meetings.
So he decides that we're trying to get to here.
He tries to smash his way out of that. Tex Johnson moves into the second round, to fight Tim Spriggs. Tim Spriggs then won the decision against Tex Johnson, and then made his way into the finals.
Fought a very tactical match against Tex, who's, you know, a very larger, has a very good open guard as well. Very dangerous with his heel hook and leg lock entries.
And Tim Spriggs is underweight too. He's not even a true heavyweight.
He's got to be what? I think he's been competing at heavyweight most of his career. So he's
but like if you look at the size of him and
205, he's like maybe 200, 205.
Yeah, he's a 205er. Like he's not a big heavyweight though.
Yeah,
he's a smaller heavyweight. I mean, like maybe again, but that's just a beautiful thing about brackets, right? Where if it was Orlando against Tim Spriggs, maybe the match would have been different. Maybe things would have been changed, right? Who knows? So like that's a beautiful thing.
Styles make fights, as they say.
Agree, right? Speaking of styles, I will say, over the weekend we did have an amazing main title fight in the UFC, which was Brian T. City Ortega versus Alex Volkanovski for the flyweight championship of the world.
Flyweight championship, jeez, little vanilla midgets there. No, it was not the flyweight championship.
Was it bantamweight?
I believe it was bantamweight. It's
bantamweight.
135 pounds. No, 145. 145 is featherweight.
That's featherweight. Oh,
Peter
what did I say?
And Amani Sterling are they're bantam. Jesus, Aaron, can you just read your notes?
I got it. I didn't see my notes at this point. So
you didn't see my notes at this point.
But
winging it. Wrote it
I will say, Brian Ortega has a slick submission game. Was able to put on 3 awesome submission attempts on Alex, and Alex was just able to get out just a little bit, especially from that guillotine. Oh my, like you saw him, he was in trouble. Out of all the submission attempts that they had, the guillotine was like, I think the closest to the one being finished. And it was so close.
I thought the triangle was really close.
The triangle was pretty tight too, but I think there was just like a little. I'd have to watch it again, like as far as like a technical, maybe just couldn't finish it from there. But the guillotine, oh my goodness, I thought
that
it was
on.
done.
That was on, especially from Mount too. Like I was
from Mount,
and Andy was hurt at one point too, like because he landed a clean shot on him. He was wobbled and he grabbed his neck immediately and tried to finish.
Talk about a quick setup, but like just like in and out, boom, boom. Like it was really good. It was tight. It was just that little less pressure on the hips, and he wasn't able to just finish it.
Wasn't just able to sprawl on the hips. But yeah, you know, Alex did a tremendous job. He's also somebody who's been training with Craig Jones.
Yeah, exactly.
Recently as well. So Craig, I think he actually credited Craig a lot with, you know, a lot of his submission defense and a lot of his jiu-jitsu prep going into this. So I think Craig helped him tremendously with that, and probably showed him the ins and outs of OnlyFans Jiu-Jitsu. Started up at a B Team.
Yeah, no,
which may be my new favorite team name out there, the B Team. This is like a C team level podcast, but the B Team down there.
Yeah, no, you know what? Like, I think they're gonna have a good thing going on, especially if they're all on the same page of what they want to accomplish, especially as kind of a group. I think one of the best shirts that they have is Craig's Mexican ground karate.
Mexican ground
karate. I'm like, God damn, karate. That's borderline racist, but like,
it's cultural appropriation, Aaron. Leave it alone.
Oh man, but
Mexicans want royalties.
Oh, for sure. But that definitely, I think they have a good group down there. I think everybody really at this point wants to be the fly on the wall when these guys are all talking, or especially when the Danaher Death Squad announced that they were going to separate and become 2 separate units. And I think what's happening now is those kind of truths are starting to come out that, as we were saying before, like Nicky Rod has come out and kind of said that we needed to cut the poison away. There was a poison that we needed to get away from. Danaher was always there, but he wasn't, and he even said, he's like, Danaher wasn't teaching us stuff. It was all of us teaching us each other things and all that kind of jazz. Where I'm like, hey, I don't know if you want to be saying that about John, but I mean, I'm not in the room, so I can't really say much, but I understand the rest of those guys were all kind of feeding off each other. But Danaher was the wizard. He was the guy who put everything together and to make sure everybody made sense out of everything. So now they're not going to have that voice in the room anymore. So I don't know. How do you feel about Nicky Rod kind of saying those types of things and the cutting the poison away? And what do you think that poison was?
I don't know. Maybe it starts with it rhymes with Ford and Fyan, maybe. Maybe it rhymes with that. Maybe it was just something entirely altogether. I think what happens is when you have in the history of jiu-jitsu, like every major superpower team that you want to think of, like Brasa, Alliance, Gracie, Baja, they've all had those like conflicts and splits at some point that have resulted in like, you know, people leaving for other teams, or like, I'm going to leave and start my own team, or it's happened everywhere. It's like, for example, you know, one that I was you know, like I'm a Gracie Humaitá rep as well, but like there has been even splits within there. Like, for example, Saulo Ribeiro split from Hoyler Gracie, for example, and started Ribeiro Jiu-Jitsu. Like that's a split there. So I think it comes down to like everybody eventually kind of wants to do their own thing, and they want to almost like have their own philosophy and their own, I guess, like I think there's a lot of times what it comes down to is like creative differences. It's maybe like, you know, maybe they don't see eye to eye with how like an association or something should be running, and then they decide one day, like, you know what, I want to start my own affiliation or association, and this is what I want to do with it. So I think I'm not saying they're going to be like, you know, two different associations, but I think it just comes down to when you have that many also egos in the room as well. So you have a lot of people that are gunning to be number one in the room, and you have like, you know, 15, 20 people all doing that. Eventually, not everybody's going to be on the same page. And there's going to be people that are going to want to maybe gravitate and want to train maybe more with each other. And there's a lot of egos and a lot of things to keep in check. And I don't think there's any coach in the world that can keep that in line forever.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. It's going to be interesting to see, especially when these TU teams, so New Wave Jiu-Jitsu and
the B teams,
like when they start ending up on the opposite brackets.
You could call them the B team.
Yeah. That's when it's going to get interesting, when you got the main players. So like guys like Craig Jones, Gordon Ryan, Ethan, Nicky Rod, all those guys, Nicky Ryan, all these guys are going to end up facing other guys from New Wave when they're on the opposite sides of the brackets. And we're going to see where those individuals, again, like how those matches go, obviously who's taking those matches as well. Cause I think it's going to come down to prides, like who's winning these matches, who's the more dominant team, where was the actual talent, right? Was it within the competitors? Was it within the coaching? That's what we're going to see.
I think it's going to be very interesting. We're going to see a lot of that in ADCC 2021. You can potentially see, you know, Nicky Rod versus Gordon Ryan happening that year. There's a strong chance, especially if Gordon follows through with, I think he wants to move up and fight plus 99 kilos. Nicky Rod's going to be fighting plus 99.
Now, are they going to let Gordon Ryan, are they going to let him do the super fight and the division?
Well, that's the ultimate question. So if he's allowed to, he said he wants to fight his division and he wants to do the super fight with Galvao. Now, the question is, are they going to allow him to or not?
Yeah.
So if he's allowed, he's going to be doing plus 99, and you have potentially two big fights of them, the rematch with Kayan, which we've covered. And you also have potentially a new match with Nicky Rodriguez to happen at ADCC. And, you know, looking at the card ADCC 2021, I think it's going to be absolutely insanely stacked. We got to get some tickets to Vegas. We may have to choke out Dylan Dynas in the process.
Fuck that guy. God, don't even get me fucking started.
We'll hit up the Jersey Shore and just jump him.
You know what? Like, it's almost sad at this point to even like beat on a guy when he's down, where it's like you're trying to be like why are people even listening to this dude anymore? Because but he sucks you in. right? He sucks you into the shit and you want to talk about it. Like, even though we're talking about him right now, we're giving him airtime, right? And it's just because he does that to people. And he's an absolute waste of garbage. Like,
we need to figure out how we need to figure out that, and then we can actually maybe get like more than 10 people listening to this podcast. It'd be tremendous.
Yeah, but like that guy, for whatever reason, people get, but he's good at what he does. Like, he's able to get people sucked into talking about him and just talking nonsense. And it's like, we want it. Like, I wanted to see him fight Jake Paul. I wanted Jake Paul to like beat the absolute piss out of him, and he would have. I really do think that. And now that he's like injured and trying to start fights at bars and getting choked out by a security guard with legs crossed, it's like, come on, man. Like, I mean, in all fairness to the guy is in basically a leg brace. So it's like, why are you being a complete douchebag in a bar when you're a complete like, the guy is just, he's
just dumb.
It's dumb, and he's over. Like, whatever. It is what it is.
It is what it is. He's had ACL surgery. Can we see Aaron Gall versus Dylan Dinas in a potential super fight
he'll
in the
kill
future?
me. He'll kill me for sure. I'm not saying I'm a better at jiu-jitsu with him, but like it.
You're just saying maybe you're a better human being than him.
Oh,
better
I
looking.
Say. I would.
You have more of a soul than he does, even though you're a ginger. Like all these things. Like, you're just better than him on so many levels.
I'm more real than he is. Like, he's all fake.
Real.
Like,
you're keeping it.
I just
real.
keep it as like, I don't flash money I don't have. I have none.
I'm broke, motherfucker. I'm broke.
I'm broke. Like,
2020's biggest sponsor, CRB. Hook us up. Where's my money?
I don't need CRB anymore, but still, like, I'm broken from the CRA, but I'm still trying to make my way.
CRA, where's my money, bitch? Where's my money?
But no, I think we do have a lot of new topics coming up down the pipeline. We do have a lot of new guests coming up as well. So October is going to be a huge month for us. We have a ton of guests lined up for the month. So do look forward to that. We also have a lot of technique videos coming down the pipeline, especially to our YouTube channel. So if you get a chance, obviously go to the YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe and like, share that stuff, get it out there. And if there's anything that you guys want to see, particularly on the channel, make sure you let us know, so we'll actually show it, especially when we talked about breakdowns, or we even get into like different UFCs, or even kind of the newest event that just happened. We can start breaking those things down for you guys as well.
And you know what I don't want to see is your hairy nuts. So you need to trim them with the new trimmer from Manscaped 4.0, the lawnmower. Don't use that shit on your face. Use it on your nuts. Use promo code CHPodcast. Get yourself 20% off. SpiritLeaf Waterdown, 64 Hamilton Street North. CBD, THC, CH Podcast. Get yourself 10% off when you get your products, in heavy air quotes for those listening to this audio, your products, if you know what I'm saying, because I don't want to get demonetized here, but they're green and they're good for you. CH Podcast, 10% off, only at SpiritLeaf Waterdown, located at Aaron.
That's at 64 Hamilton Street North in Waterdown, Ontario.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to the Choking Has a Podcast. We look forward to seeing you soon. See you soon on the mat.